With an understanding of the basic pattern of a blood vessel, which was covered in an earlier presentation and which is reviewed here, we see that blood vessels have three tunics or layers, as is common in all tubular anatomy. However, there are many named types of blood vessels. Why all the different named vessels, and how do they relate to the basic pattern? In this presentation, you will learn about the vein side of the circulatory tree as you learn about venules and veins, and how and why their anatomy differs from the basic pattern. Venules arise as small capillaries converge to form a return route to the heart. These small tubes range in size from 10 to 70 micrometers, and unlike arterioles, they have very thin walls. Note that the wall consists of flat to oval endothelial cells and a delicate tunica adventitia of fibroblasts and thin collagen fibers. The small postcapillary venules lack a tunica media. Venules do not acquire a tunica media until they reach a size of about 50 micrometers in diameter. At this size, they add a single layer of smooth muscle. Note the large lumen filled with red blood cells seen here. Compare this to the muscular thick-walled arteriole. The tiny venules converge to become veins, which continue to increase in size and continue to converge until they form the large caval veins that return blood to the heart. Veins have thin walls, so thin that the venous wall does not maintain its shape and is easily expandable and collapsible. Although veins have all three layers of the basic pattern, they modify it in a number of ways. The tunica interna is thin and lacks an internal elastic membrane. The tunica media is extremely thin, with little smooth muscle or elastic tissue, and no external elastic membrane. The tunica externa is typically the thickest layer of the vessel. Note that the thickness of the vein wall forms a very small proportion of the vessel's total diameter, but the vein has a large internal lumen capable of holding more blood. For this reason, veins are called capacitance vessels because of their ability to hold large capacities of blood. Compare this to an artery of the same size and note the differences. In addition to having thinner walls and greater volumes, again as is evident here, veins are more numerous than arteries. Notice that there are about 2 times more veins than arteries, and again, they have larger lumens. This creates a greater volume on the venous side of the circulatory system compared to the arterial side. In addition, many veins have internal cusp-like valves that arise as cup-like folds of the tunica intima. Why these different structural modifications to the anatomy of venules and veins? To understand the structure-function relationships of the venous blood vessels, it is important to understand a few important facts about the blood flow in the circulatory system. In another movie, I covered the concept of circulation and introduced you to the dual muscular pump, the heart, and the two circuits associated with the pump, the pulmonary circuit and systemic circuit. Now, it is important to realize that the body has approximately 5 liters of blood, and that the blood is distributed in the following way in the various parts of the circulatory system at any point in time. 7% of the blood, or 350 milliliters, is in the heart. 9%, or 450 milliliters, is in the pulmonary circuit. 13%, or 650 milliliters, is in the systemic arteries and arterioles. 7%, or 350 milliliters, is in the systemic capillaries, and An amazing 64%, or 3,200 milliliters of blood, is in the systemic veins and venules. So we see that the large volume, thin-walled veins become the storage reservoir for the blood in the body. Compared to the arterial blood, which has to be moved quickly to the capillaries to distribute the nutrients it is carrying to the cells, the venous blood is not delivering critical nutrients to capillaries, and therefore, moving the blood quickly through the venous system is not essential. Let's follow the left ventricular output on its course through the schematic of the systemic circuit and note the differences in the arterial versus venous side of the circuit. The pumping pressure of the heart is experienced more strongly by the arteries, as the contraction of the ventricles moves blood quickly through the thick, stiff-walled vessels of the arterial tree. From the large aorta to the small arteries, the pressure and rate of flow slowly decreases because the extensive branching of the arteries leads to an increasing volume of the arterial tree as it branches away from the heart. The pressure continues to drop and the rate of flow slows further as the blood passes through the extensively branched capillary networks. Upon entering the voluminous venules, which have the greatest total volume in the circulatory pathway, the pressure decreases precipitously and the rate of flow is reduced significantly. To help propel the low-pressure venous blood back to the heart, the thin-walled anatomy of the veins allows tissues such as skeletal muscles and pressures within the body cavities to easily compress the veins to help move the blood on its return route. This is important because the pressure created by the pumping heart is so greatly reduced by the time it reaches the venous system that it is ineffective at moving the blood back toward the heart. So we see that at any point in time, most of the blood in the body is in the venous system. And these low pressure, large volume, thin-walled tubes have a structure that allows them to function as a slow-moving reservoir of blood, yet with a greater volume so that they continuously return a volume of blood to the heart that is equal to the volume of blood pumped by the heart. Also, the fact that many veins have valves, especially those in the limbs, which in general are working against gravity, helps keep the low-pressure, slow-moving blood from backflowing in the wrong direction. Note how the simple cusp-like valves allow the blood to flow toward the heart, but block backflow away from the heart. We see then that the common theme among the vessels we call veins, the afferent vessels, or vessels that carry blood toward the heart, is that they all have a thin tunica media and vessel wall in general. This is important in their functions as low-pressure, large-volume reservoir vessels that house most of the blood in the body and slowly but equally return it to the heart.